Hello everyone. We're going to begin this workshop. Make sure you're in a quiet room with the doors closed, your cell phones off, and you're ready to learn. Take a deep breath and relax and put your mind at ease, knowing that we're going to learn today about something new about online education. Today's learning objectives are: we're going to be able to define what the community of inquiry is, identify 3 elements of the community of inquiry: social, cognitive, and the teaching presences, and give examples of how they work, and discuss how we integrate all 3 presences into the classroom. So, before we begin, to all our virtual learners out there, you're going to hit pause on the recording, and you're going to write a short paragraph for each of the questions below. I would like you to email your responses by midnight tonight, and I would like you to describe 2 reasons why you enjoy taking an online course, whether it be I really like the freedom of being able to do it when I'm available, to having the ability to sit at home and do it, not be rushed to go to a specific classroom. Give me specific reasons why you enjoy having an online class. And I want you to name and describe reasons why you don't like online classes. What frustrates you? Is it the fact that you can't talk to the professor face-to-face? Is it the fact that you have no interaction with peers? What are the reasons that frustrate you about an online course? And then I would like you to discuss how, as an educator, you can provide a more positive experience in an online education. Educators need to know what they can do to make you feel more at ease in the classroom online, help you to feel more as if you're in a real classroom. How can you bridge the gap from the real classroom to an online classroom? So, like I said, try to get those to me by midnight on Friday. So, what we're going to talk about today, what is the community of inquiry? And why is it vital to have this in an online course? What is community of inquiry? It is the result of educators dissecting what goes on in a particular classroom. What are the community of learners, and what are their expectations in the classroom? What happens in the classroom? How are they interacting? How is a teacher interacting with them? And how does the students think or reflect upon their learning? That's what brings the community of inquiry so important to an online class. There are 3 phases of the community of inquiry. There are social, cognitive, and teaching presences. Each of those are vital to having a very successful online class, as well as having a physical in the classroom together. All 3 of these are used. Now we're going to begin with the social presence. What the presence does is it brings the group of people that are taking the class together, and it allows them to find each individual person in the classroom to find their own individual identity within the group. And once that is established, you have a cohesiveness with the group. They have a common goal in mind. They have a purpose to what they're trying to achieve in the classroom. There has to be a specific communication. It is the most important part of this social presence. Students in the classroom need to feel as if they're able to communicate with everybody in the room at any given time, and everybody's opinion and response is respected and valued. For this to work, once this all occurs, there is a specific smoothness within this communication, and there is a great interaction with everybody within the group. Now, what I'd like you to do, virtual learners, is, can you give me a specific time in your online experience of classrooms? Take a second here and type below, or write it down on a piece of paper and email it to a friend, or discuss it with our group mates in the class right now, on the discussion board, and tell us what were your personal experiences with an online course. Were you able to communicate with other people in the class? Or were you just forced to sit there and listen to the professor speak the entire time? If you're able to speak with other people, was there an opportunity where you were able to be heard and speak equally, or was it one way or the other? Take a few moments here and just tell us what your experiences were with the social presence of your online courses. Okay, welcome back. Next we're going to talk about is the cognitive presence. The cognitive presence takes what you have learned and give it meaning through reflecting on the skills and improving them. What this really means in an online course is after the teacher really implements what is being expected of you, you're able to digest that information, reflect upon it, and then elaborate, or I like to say regurgitate that information through your point of view. And doing this with a social presence allows the group to come together with one cohesive, specific information that you've learned together from the class. Cognitive presence is so important because it allows you to really internalize that learning and then externalize it with the communication within the group. Has there been a time in your class group, now I'd like you to take a few seconds here and hit pause, has there been a time where you have never been able to really conceptualize what is learned in the classroom? Are you just forced to learn exactly the way it is and regurgitate that information, or are you able to internalize it and reflect upon it and really be able to dissect what has happened in that classroom? Or has it just been, this is the way it is? Take a few moments here and tell us what your thoughts, what your input is in your previous online education. Okay, welcome back. Our last phase we're going to talk about today is the teaching phase. It's used to create a culture within the classroom that's conducive to open dialogue. An online course, the teacher has to force the students to be involved. The teacher cannot be the focal point in the classroom. They have to have one cohesive family within the classroom where the teacher and the students communicate together with an open dialogue, open communication, and sharing the information together. To have a successful classroom, the teacher must be the one that interacts with the students, but also understands that the students must be able to ask questions, communicate with themselves, and communicate with the teacher in the classroom. But the teacher is the facilitator of the classroom. They are the one that sets up and maintains the identity of the individuals, but also helps the students to create a group identity as well. They create that social presence. They allow the students to focus in on that social presence. Take a second here and write just a short paragraph and email it to me back a little bit about what your experiences are with the teachers you've had in the classroom. Has it always been where the teacher lectures and you're just forced to listen to what they say? Or are you allowed to really communicate with the teacher about questions, about ideas, about maybe concerns of how it happens in the real world? Are you able to communicate with your teacher that way, or has it always been you have to listen to what they say and you have to do as they say? Take a few moments here and just write a short paragraph and email it back to me, or email it to your classmates and try to get an idea of what you all think together. Okay, thank you so much for coming back. And now I want to tell you a little bit about my experience. I've been teaching now for 8 years. This is my 9th year of teaching, and I really haven't done much of the online courses. Now this year I really have focused on creating online education for my students in the classroom, and where they get together and they discuss things as a group, and I force them to come up with ideas in the classroom. I really have forced a social presence in the classroom, and it's really opened the eyes of the students that they have a voice, and their voice is allowed and actually appreciated in the classroom. These students really have engrossed and totally been in love with this form of communication because it makes them feel as if they have a voice in what they have learned in the classroom, and they're able to communicate with their peers on a social level and exchange ideas and exchange learning ideas of how they want to proceed with what they're learning in the classroom. I absolutely have loved the experience I've had so far. I plan on continuing to use this and probably even expanding upon it as the year continues. I also really feel that since I have seen this complete light turn on with the students and their passion, it has really allowed me to take a step back and allow them to really take charge of their own learning in a way that I never thought was possible. I always felt that I was the one that had to, hey, this is the way you have to do it, and this is the way it has to be done. Well, no, the students love to have that ability to do it, and me as a teacher has really learned allowing them to do this as well. Lastly, I'd like to talk about how, what I've done in the classroom as well. It's really allowed the students to really communicate in a way that they have never been able to do before, as they have been able to continue to communicate, whether it's through a blog that we share together, or whether it's through an email together, or it's through group settings where I pop in and pop out. And it really has allowed them to grow as leaders, communicators, and as well as just facilitators within a group, to be able to learn from a group and how to communicate within a group. I am done with this discussion right now at this time. If you have any questions, please make sure you write a little reflection of what you've learned today. Tell me about what has been, the most powerful thing that you've learned today. What is something that you plan on trying to implement in your own classroom this year or even next as you go on with this education? Thank you so much for your time. I hope to hear from you soon. I look forward to seeing your emails. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.